Nothing about the Miocene apes is normal. You think you know apes. You picture the jungle shadows, the familiar primate blueprints. You are profoundly wrong. Look back 20 million years. This is not our era. This is not humanity's prologue. This is the Paleolithic reign. A world saturated with hominoids, a vast, warm, subtropical sphere where the arboreal ceiling hosts a biodiversity we cannot fathom. 100 different species flourished. A staggering peak of evolutionary possibility. Modern dominance feels inevitable. It is not. It is a recent, precarious glitch. In the early Miocene, apes were everywhere. They were titans. They were engineers of the canopy. They ranged from the tiny Dendropithecus to the massive, terrestrial Indopithecus, standing a full 1.5 meters tall. A lineage in full, unchecked bloom. A golden age of grasping limbs and complex social architectures that modern ecology cannot support. This world breathes thick humidity. The air itself feels viscous. But the sheer variety hides a deep, fundamental instability. Among this array of forms, the swift Miocene and the robust Afro-Pithecus is the anomaly. A creature that defied the established biomechanical parameters of its time. The Danuvius. You look at its structure, and the fossil record offers a paradox. Its limb architecture suggests the raw, powerful brachiation of an orangutan. Full arboreal mastery. Yet, its pelvic structure hints at something else. A vertical capacity. A nascent, terrestrial stability. How does one machine house two operating systems? How can an organism perform supreme aerial acrobatics and yet suggest the architecture for bipedal navigation? This conflicting design is the key to the Miocene dominance. But the true horror was yet to come. This entire mechanical empire was built upon climate that was about to shatter. The Miocene epoch begins 23 million years ago. A time when the forests were deep enough to hide giants. This ancient primate success story is not about a single evolutionary path. It is about specialization taken to its absolute limit. Consider Afro-Pithecus. This creature faced a specific threat, the proliferation of hard-shelled resources. Nuts. Seeds too dense for standard mastication. Standard jaw mechanics fail. The solution is not evolution toward bigger teeth. It is an upgrade to the chassis. Afro-Pithecus developed incredibly thick dental enamel. This is not just hard bone. This is a geological defense mechanism. We see the internal structure, a carbide coating over the dentine core, designed to withstand crushing forces measured in hundreds of pounds per square inch. Its molars function not as grinders, but as industrial crushers, delivering calibrated torque against unyielding material. Its life is defined by the sound of fracture. A constant, rhythmic breaking of the environment's most armored sustenance. Now pivot. Shift your sensor array across the landscape. Observe the Danuvius again. Its specialized limbs are a complex actuator system. The femur retains the robustness for sheer vertical purchase in the trees. The humerus, however, shows extreme elongation, optimized for the wide, swinging gait of brachiation. It fuses the raw power of the ape arm with the emerging mechanics of upright locomotion. We must visualize the hidden stress points. X-ray the spine. The standard pronograde posture, the horizontal alignment of most quadrupeds, is gone. In its place, a subtle, almost invisible S-curve develops along the vertebral column. This is the critical engineering refinement. This architecture acts as a primary shock absorber. It manages the variable loading during a descent from the high canopy and provides the necessary leverage for an upright, momentary stance on the forest floor. A hybrid engine. A creature running orangutan arm modules alongside proto-hominin stabilization hardware. The Miocene was a laboratory testing 100 different ways to be an ape. Look at the vast array of Pongini relatives. See the Afro-Pithecus in Asia, showing profound sexual dimorphism, suggesting intense competition for mates, driving specialized weaponry or display apparatus. Every niche is occupied. Every possible anatomical solution is being built, tested, and deployed across the continents. This era was too rich. Too dense. The sensory input for these creatures was an overwhelming spectrum of motion and vibration within the dense foliage. They relied on finely tuned visual processing, enhanced by specialized opsons tuned to filter the saturated green light of the lower canopy. Their peripheral vision, their capacity to track kinetic energy across their field, must have dwarfed our own narrow focus. They lived in a world where stagnation meant starvation. Their internal fluids move under different tolerances. Their hemolymph circulates, carrying nutrients through systems adapted to constant, high-G maneuvering through a three-dimensional arboreal highway. No terrestrial constraint applies. The Heliopithecus and proconsul types represent the successful baseline. They master the primary evolutionary tasks of their time. Their architecture is optimized for survival within the warm, wet equilibrium. But this equilibrium is the illusion. The planet begins to inhale sharply. The atmosphere shifts its composition. The great global conveyor belt of ocean currents alters its trajectory, dictated by continental drift and orbital mechanics, a slow, inexorable change in planetary obliquity. The Miocene cools. The wet green saturation retracts. The forests begin to thin. The environment itself becomes the primary antagonist. The sensory experience for these dominant primates transforms overnight, geologically speaking. The thick, humid warmth gives way to dry, sweeping air. The continuous, dense canopy, their protective infrastructure, begins to fragment. Imagine the soundscape. It shifts from the constant, damp buzz of rich insect life and thick vegetation movement to vast, open spaces punctuated by high-speed winds. The familiar, layered acoustic camouflage vanishes. The apes dependent on unbroken high-branch transit find their infrastructure severed. Their hydraulic systems, perfectly calibrated for the canopy, are exposed to sudden, long falls onto hard, desiccated ground. The great divergence begins. Those built only for the vertical world find their systems rupturing under the new gravitational stress. The cooling climate precipitates a mass extinction event among the specialized Catarrhini lineages. They are too perfectly engineered for a world that no longer exists. Their specialization becomes their structural flaw. Their complexity ensures their collapse. We see the fossil record as a history of successful adaptation. We miss the scale of the failure. We see a few branches survive to the Pliocene, the ones that could compromise their perfect arboreal design for a terrestrial compromise. The rest, the 90-plus distinct evolutionary experiments, vanish into the geological record without a whisper. Their complex architectures erased by a subtle shift in global thermostat. We study the bones of the bipedal ones, the ones that hint at our own shadow. We focus on the hominin emergence. We miss the true achievement. We measure evolutionary success by our current existence. A logical error. These Miocene architects achieved a morphological zenith. They explored the potential of the primate form to a degree that modern life, including our own technologically augmented existence, has not managed to replicate within a single epoch. They were ecologically dominant. They diversified wildly. They were the rulers of this terrestrial machine. And the machine betrayed them. A slow shift in atmospheric mechanics. A slight temperature drop across millions of years. Enough to starve the forests. Enough to render their hydraulic pistons useless. Enough to turn the canopy into an alien, hostile void. This history is a warning encoded in calcium phosphate. It speaks to the fragility of specialized success.